All right, welcome to another session for the teaching assistant class. So we did last time a little bit of an overview of the task and responsibilities of a teaching assistant. Of a teacher assistant, it says here, page 3, that the teacher assistant, also known as the teacher's helper or instructional aide, assists instructors in the classroom and contributes to the creation of a good and successful learning environment. A teaching assistant's particular task might vary based on the grade level, subject area, individual needs of the students. Nabanggit natin yun na nakaraan, di ba? I think I have mentioned that it depends on the grade level. If you are teaching uh, younger children, say for example, ages from 4 to 6, they would have different kind of needs. Students from different grade level would also require a different assistance, and so on with middle school and high school. So it could be minimal, it could be more physical, or it could be like more on technical assistance. Diba? Kapag if you are assisting children, they might need assistance when it comes to heating food, if their break time. So that's kind of physical. So sometimes if you have like a little bit older students, say for grade school, they might need assistance when it comes to technical, maybe how to open their computers in the classroom, or how to manage their school system. Sometimes schools, especially here in the UAE, they would have educational system that they use, and they might need assistance to navigate the system, where to log in, where to find the homework, how to submit. So those are the assistance that I may need. Teacher assistant, roles and responsibilities, instructional assistance, classroom support and supervision. Those are the coverage of this course. Grading and record keeping, that could be one of your tasks as well. Usually in a classroom, your teacher will ask you to, the teacher that you support, say for example, Marie, can you do this for me? Can you check the papers? That could be also your task. Classroom management, that's true, especially if you are in a bigger class. Imagine a class with toddlers, or maybe 4 years old student, as early as 4 years old. Sometimes they would accept that age, but minimum that would be 5 going 6. So there's instances that you have to support that kind of age group. Imagine 10 children that age group. Might be chaotic how to manage to let them sit. Like how are they gonna stay in the chair for the longest period of time? Because we tend to see that the children might not be able to sit in one place for a long time. They tend to play and go around. So how are you gonna manage that? Maybe you can do play together. You can be supporting them how to play, and you will facilitate the game. So those could be your tasks. Administrative task, yes, true. And page 6, communication and collaboration, because you won't be working by yourself. You are working with your teacher. You have a support system, you and your teacher, and then that could be another teacher assistant and another teacher, because I told you from the last time that you could be assigned to a different teacher. The teacher that you support might not necessarily be the only one that you will support throughout the semester. You could be assigned, it could be monthly. The advantage for that is that you can learn not only from your previous teacher, but to your current and to your future teacher. Teaching style, you could learn from how they manage the classroom. The goal is for you to get the best out from the teachers that you support, sharing best practices. Page 7, understanding the kinds of students with special needs. This is the first time that we have to um, review. We did this from the last meeting. It's important that we are able to um, understand certain situation and certain um, just say like conditions of your student. Number first is learning disabilities. Can you read that for me, please? All right, so those could be the difficulties from the students. We have discussed this last week, and we're just doing a little bit of review. That's true, especially with the technical age right now. Imagine a child given a tablet or a gadget from the very young age, even phones. They can develop certain eye problems. They could have reading difficulty because they already have weak eyesight, writing difficulty because they learn pressing the buttons first before writing, and dyscalculia math difficulty because calculator is accessible from your mobile phones and you can just easily calculate it. You yourself, you told me you're a caretaker of a young boy that asked Alexa to compute mathematics for him. So those are the access to information. Imagine the future with these children not knowing how to do manual calculation or manual writing. But you, as part of the teaching community, you being a teaching assistant, you have to make sure that these children will learn these activities. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD. Read it for me. Yeah, that's true. Because they lack attention and they want to draw attention uh, to them. These type of condition for the children might need a little bit more attention if the child has this kind of condition, because he might be harming himself already with the activities that he do. That he does. Imagine a child jumping up and down on a couch, and he might slip, and he can get hurt, right? So you as a teacher, you're the caretaker at that some point. If you are having a child with that condition in a classroom, you have to be extra mindful about the child, right? Because that's the safety and that's your responsibility for that school period. Let's move on to page 10. We talk about autism, spectrum disorder, AD, ASD. Read it for me. Yeah, that's true. There are some situations that the child may be in the ASD spectrum. It's wide. Madam, there are a couple of um, descriptions if you are in the autism. If the child is within the spectrum disorder, and it's important that we know their description. So somehow we might not be completely an expert to handle that situation. But what's important is that we are aware how to handle certain impulses, certain tantrums, or certain situation that the child may go through. Um, there was a situation. One of my students had to take care of his um, client because he's looking over the child. The parents are going for work and they need someone to guide the child. So they would go out to the mall. Suddenly, the child would be crying. Um, from your end, you would notice when you were just walking, the child would just go on tantrums, and then you would be like shouting and crying. But from your end, there's no reason for the child to do that. But for the child could be oversensitive with the noise around the mall. There's a lot of things to process. He's seen a lot of factors. It could be like another child. It could be a display in the mall, a food. Maybe the child wants to take a taste of the food that you pass by in the mall. So the child is oversensitive in certain factors around his environment, and you should be aware of that. What is the best to calm the child? So those could be a part of our discussion. Intellectual disabilities, read it for me. There could be that situation. Um, that the child in general is having difficulty when it comes to learning. It's intellectual disability. How to adjust that? Do we force the lesson plan, or do we design this lesson plan for that kind of situation, right? Imagine if you're teaching the alphabet and one letter can take you 1 month. Yes, because the child just that don't get to process, but it could be progress. So I tell you, Marie, that patience is a virtue with this type of industry. Yeah. Page 11, physical disabilities. Go ahead, please read. Yes, this could be for children with physical determination. We don't no longer call them people with disabilities, rather we call them people with determination. So say, for example, the child could have polio. The child won't be able to walk. The child might be in a wheelchair. Yes. So what about a child that had accident from uh, I mean, that made the child without limbs? Back in the Philippines, we shoot fireworks during New Year, and there could be some instances that no more 5 fingers because they use firecrackers, and now they only have 2 fingers. So how could you teach them how to write? Or some child won't um, have vision, that could but they still have hearing, and say, for example, students with visual impairments would have a different kind of needs, braille system, children with mute condition. So they would have different kind of learning strategy as well. So that will be part of the special education. But now we are on to the teaching assistant. So we're teaching you how to assist this kind of children. Emotional and behavioral disorder. That's true. So it's mental health, Um, um, even at a very young age, children could go through this scenarios and situation. As a teaching assistant, you should be able to assess and you should be able to notice if a child might be going through that kind of um, special needs. So you should be able to assist. What if the child is going through a traumatic experience? There are some variety of this kind of experiences, but that could affect the factor of the child to understand and learn. So how are you gonna attend to that, right? If the child is not in the mood to learn or to go through that lesson, how are you going to assist? Do you think the child might probably need an alone time, a one-on-one talk? How do you build your rapport and how do you build your trust? Because as teachers, we could be the second parent, guardian of these children. They might not get that from their home, but in the school, that's an oath that we partake that we are the second guardian or parents of these children. Developmental delays, page 13. Yeah. So certain age group of children, as age goes up, there should be development. At certain ages from 5 to 6, there should be things that this child can do. 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 10 to 11. Children, especially the ladies, can um, mature early at a certain age. Imagine a child at 10 years old getting her first period, the menstruation can come that early. I would know for the fact that some of the schools that I have managed, there are that kind of situation. So how are you going to teach? What if the parent is not there? The parent could be working. The child had her first period or menstrual cycle in the school. You can also relate. That's for as per the development. Some of them, like mental development, could be delayed as well. The things that a certain age group can do and that child cannot perform yet. So maybe you can adjust your lesson plan. You can ask your teacher as a teaching assistant, you should be able to also assist with that. Sir, ma'am, I think this child might need extra or a special task because throughout the SAM, and we've been in 3 months, the child still cannot be able to perform this task. So you can suggest. Now we move on as a collaboration technique with teachers and students. Overview. Effective communication and collaboration techniques are essential for building strong relationships between teachers and students. That's true. These are teacher and student relationship. These techniques help foster a positive learning environment, enhance understanding, and promote active engagement. The overview for this lesson is, of course, we have these positive learning environment. You yourself, Marie, how do you describe a positive learning environment in the classroom? Just your thoughts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be a description of a positive learning environment. Say, for example, we are in a classroom, a closed room, and then the AC is not working. It's a hot summer days in the Gulf. And then, do you think that could affect a positive learning environment? Okay, there are 12 students, and the boys would be sitting behind or at the back of the classroom, and they would be talking about their online games while you are doing your lesson. Do you think that could be a distraction? Mm-hmm. You know, Marie, in my PhD right now, I'm learning that as a teacher, um, not less than a teacher assistant, you should be familiar of these activities. You can be curious as well. Uh, in that way, somehow you will build connection with your student. I know we could be old for certain activities, but it would actually help if we get to ask. You ask as well. Like um, these students are having some distractions, and that really tickles their interest. That means that you can engage with that. You can use that in your own advantage. Like students, what are you playing? Tell me, how does this work? And then in that way, you can use what you have learned there in your lesson. It might be your actual lesson, but later on, you could start like studying the concept of what they are playing. Because right now, I tell you, children are into online games, and you somehow understand what their interest is. Because that means that you, as a teacher, you are willing to learn from their ground. You are willing to learn from their understanding, and then you can relate it to your lesson. So check what their interests are, and then connect the lesson. Promote active engagement, and that could be it. There will be an engagement. If you started giving out examples out from their interests, children have creative minds. They can relate it. Imagine if you're talking about Pokemon, and then you are you are telling a story, and then your characters in your stories are their favorite characters. So that will tickle their minds as well. Read this for me. Active listening. What is active listening? Mhm. That's true. Active listening. So, what's the difference between listening and hearing? Nakinig, hearing. Yes, hearing and listening could be synonymous. But I would say that listening against hearing has understanding. When you just heard it, not necessarily that you process it or you understood the meaning. You might just heard it. But when you are actively listening, there is understanding. Like right now, if I'm talking here, you could be just hearing me. That means nothing is going inside your head. But if you're actively listening to me, that means you are processing the things that I am explaining right now. So that is listening. Clear communication. Read it for me. That's true. Concise language, avoid jargon, and communicate their thoughts and ideas clearly. So that means if we are communicating right now, if there are some words that you don't understand, as a teacher, I will give examples for you to understand it. Jargon means words that are like technical words or words that are scientific. Yes, words that might be used in normal conversations. So you avoid that because when you are giving out a clear communication, or if you want a clear communication between the teacher and the student, assistant teacher and the teacher, you should have an understanding. That is clear communication. If I'm explaining the things that about teaching assistant right now, and then you don't understand or you have questions in mind, that still is a communication, but not be clear. It might not be clear to you. Like, sir, what are you talking about? So our goal is to have a clear communication, thorough understanding. You have any questions for the meantime? Establishing expectations, please. Yeah, that's true. Establishing expectations. In one lesson, I tell you, your teacher, this is actually one of the tasks of your teacher. They are giving out expectations, objectives of learning in a day. Say, for example, that our topic for today is nouns. So there will be objectives. At the end of the lesson, if you only have like an hour lesson, the student should be able to identify what nouns are. So that's the objective for the day. You have full semester to do that. And one topic would be good for an hour and a half, an hour or 45 minutes to explain. But the goal is should be set before the start of the lesson. It's giving you expectations. In the classroom, if I have like it's the student, um, if you would explain that this lesson should take us only 45 minutes, and at the end of the day, you should be able to identify what is noun is, be able to give examples, and be able to use it, and be able to um, give like its proper usages. So that could be your objectives. It depends on the lesson, but that has to be clear with the student. What are you gonna learn in that specific day? Let's move to page 17. Read it for me, two-way feedback. Yeah, that's true. So it has to be two-way feedback. In the classrooms, we give the students an opportunity to give feedback towards the teacher. There's like a survey. How did teacher assistant or teacher, because they would usually, especially for the children, they would call you teacher. Teacher Marie, that's how the children will call you. They would say teacher assistant. You are considered as a teacher in the classroom. So they would give you feedback as well. It's a two-way feedback. As you give us feedback to the students, because there will be a feedback form, a parent should know how is the student doing. If you would remember in the class record, back in the days, there would be like 1 to 2 sentence how the student is doing in the classroom. But right now, it's a little bit of comprehensive. You give a detailed explanation of how the student did in that certain period. How did the student have excelled in certain subjects and have failed, or have probably have some difficulties in certain areas. You can explain it there. The teacher will ask you assistance for that. Like, this is a collaboration between your teacher and me. Maria, I need your help. Can you do this feedback? Because you were there all throughout the semester. You are not just assisting the teacher, you're also looking after the students. You are a teacher assistant. Yeah. So, sir, I think this student, and this student are having some challenges in math. We would suggest that there are during the break, there have some special classes. We can enroll them to that special classes so they won't be left behind. You explain to the parents, maybe they're still available, they won't be going outside the country. So you can tell that to the student or to the parents. You can give that feedback. And in return, the student can also give you feedback. They can say for example, Teacher Marie was just sleeping in the class. Teacher Marie is always sleepy now. We can see that. So they could have feedback as well. It's two-way now. Use of technology, read it for me. That's true. Right now, technology has been integral part of learning. Um, Mostly, it will be computerized. So you as a teacher assistant should be familiar with that as well. Upon being hired, you will be taught how to use the system. Um, in the school, hire if the school year starts in August, 2 months prior, they could be hiring. And that 2 months, if your visa is processed, that's the time that you start your training. You do your training with the lesson plan, your task and responsibilities, the technologies that are being used. If they have like um, a digital monitor, you'll be taught how to do that. Simple troubleshooting should be taught to you. How to connect the cables, how to connect it with their laptops, how to connect it with the sound system. There are certain classrooms like that. Otherwise, there would be like computers or tablets available in the classroom, but mostly um, you have to be familiar. It depends on the school that that you will be working with. Small group activities, for this for me. Yes, that's true. I love it. That's true. Small group activities are very essential in a classroom because it would help like socialization skills of the children. It's not only during the playtime that they get to be connected with their classmates, also during the lesson. You can pair them up. You can get them talk to their classmates that they don't usually talk to, but that could be an opportunity to socialize because classroom is like a mimic of the actual socialization outside. You should be able to teach the children how to communicate properly, how to talk to um, how to talk to like other people, how to socialize, how to have and practice good manners, how to say thank you, how to say greetings, how to apologize, how to ask for favor. That's an opportunity to teach um, polite manners to the children, and that's your somehow task and responsibility because that did not be taught in the household, and they're in the school. I tell you, being a Filipino, we are international. Filipino teachers in the future are leading when it comes to, even in the present, are leading in the academy. Matter of fact, when I hosted the graduation for master's and PhD for St. Paul University, Manila, I have met some individuals that are already leaders in their school. And imagine it's a Filipino that is creating the curriculum. It's a Filipino that manages the team of the schools here in the United Arab Emirates, and you are part of the success of the academe in that way. So you take pride with this kind of profession. Again, a classroom is a mimic of an outside community. So that's your task and responsibility for the children to learn from the classroom. Page 18, regular check-ins. Read it for me. Offer support. Rapport. Yes, so that's true. There should be a certain activity that you get to an evaluation with the student. Yeah. So this is kind of a feedback, like you give a feedback to the students right aware of how their performance is. This is an opportunity for you. It says there, rapport, build rapport. Yes. Because not necessary that you become friends with the students. Rather, you build trust. You are the facilitator of the education. I tell you, we are now not we are not no longer called as teachers, and the education or the learning is not coming from the teacher alone. These students have access to their mobile phones of any information available, the internet or the artificial intelligence can give them the lesson that they need to learn in few seconds. So we are rather a facilitator. We have to have an understanding of what these children interests are. And I tell you that's very effective if you become interested in somewhat their interests are, you know, if these ladies are into makeup tutorials, these children, maybe you could, somehow talk to them. Like at this, say for example, these 10-year-old, these 10-year-old group of children are into watching makeup tutorial now on their YouTube, and they would be starting putting up their lip tint. You can say, so somehow you can give feedback. I think that color might be too bright, or it said on the manual that this is not allowed, but maybe you can start with lip balm, so you won't have a chopped lips. That will be accepted because that could be a medical aid, so you can put so you won't have like a chopped lips. So you can explain that to them, like wearing too bright lipstick is not allowed in the room. In the classroom, in the school premises, but you can use this for the meantime. Yes. Encourage student engagement. That's true. Encourage student engagement. How are they going to engage in the group activities that you will create? I tell you, it has to be within their interest. So you being a teacher assistant, your teacher might have that strategy, and then your teacher will ask you, Marie, start cutting out papers. Do origami for me. Marie, color this, do that, because we will use this in our activity. So that could be your task. Because we don't want we want the students to have a memorable and to have a fun learning experience. Because that at least I tell you, they will not get from Google. They will not get from ChatGPT. That they would have the experience, that they would have the information, but they won't have the learning experience. that could be unique in a face-to-face setup. You being a teacher assistant, that's one of your tasks to make the lessons engaging. Flexibility and adaptability. If you would notice, all these descriptions are explaining towards you being a teacher assistant. So all these descriptions and must-dos are for you being a teaching assistant. You have to be flexible. You have to be adaptable. So that means within the technology, you have to learn certain skills. If you are not aware how to use Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, your student might be more knowledgeable than you. So you have to be somehow ahead. If not ahead, at least knowledgeable. Yes. So the student already know how to make presentations. So you as a teacher assistant, you should know that as well. Yeah. So get the necessary tools for the education for this program. You have to be adaptable because right now is the era of technology. You should know how to use certain application. You should know how to use certain tools, Canva, Chat GPT, Google Classroom, Zoom. So you should be aware of how their usages because children right now, I tell you, from the age of 4, they are doing online classes. So you have to be familiar with that. How to use and navigate in the computer, how to type, not necessarily fast, but efficiently. So that could be your adaptability. Effective communication with teacher and students. Celebrate achievements. Read this for me. I like this part. It's true. At the end of these learnings, you as a teacher, as well teaching assistant and a teacher, you should celebrate. So this could be part of the faculty activity, like who is the best teacher assistant, who is the best teacher, who have excelled. So there will be measurements of your success. Sometimes it could be like an exemplary activity or task that you've done. Say, for example, you were in charge of the International Day or United Nations, and then you were there to create a certain part of the program. You can be awarded as the best teaching assistant is Marie. Yes, she was able to um, uh, manage the classroom, and the students were able to give feedback that Miss Marie is the nicest and most approachable and friendly teacher assistant. We celebrate little achievements. We celebrate together, and we celebrate um, because it's not always hard work. Sometimes you yourself have to, um, you know, give or I mean, it's like giving yourself a reward. Reward yourself for your hard work. All right. So these could be the two part discussion of the teaching assistant.